Good evening. Hello, Jeremiah. Hey, Aaron. Hello, hello, hello. How's everybody doing today? How was everyone's day? I am exhausted. I'm so used to getting up and doing my lives before I do things. The fact that I had to get up and do stuff first thing in the morning, as opposed to in like the afternoon, my body was like, this is not the right order. I don't like you. Some of my live trolls were commenting on my video, on today's video. It was kind of funny. It's kind of funny. Missed you this morning. I hear you. It was weird not going live this morning. We'll get a whole week of me being live in the evenings, and then I'll be back. No rest today. Like, I laid down a little bit before dinner, but not really. I was pretty much going nonstop from 9 a.m. to now. Had dinner, went out for a walk, and then went live. Good evening. Evening is good. Evening's all right. It's got its positives. Excuse me. Watching the response to last night's speech, though, has been very interesting. Is it evening already? It is, Di. Hey, Ambrosia. It is evening already. At least it is here. I am. Yeah, I'm on both. Sounds good. How's everyone's day so far? Been a busy day. Oh, okay. Well, the data does not prove, does not validate that statement, Sean. Hey, Patty. Just because you want it to be. No, it actually doesn't. But thinking of doing a body language assessment for Blanche and compare with Clinton. Ooh, interesting. It was really funny reading the documents with the perspective of what data are they reading that would tell anybody that China had done what he said was happening. And the funny thing is if you go to the documents, there's a chart down near the bottom. It was one of the CIA, it's either CIA or FBI, I forget which one of their documents, where it shows North Korea, China, or no, Iran, China, and Russia. And it like categorized them out and said which country was doing all of these different things. And when it came to elections, China literally, they were like, yeah, they talked about doing it, but they never actually did anything. Like the only country that actually actively tried to interfere in our elections, according to our own government, was Russia. China made an official announcement that they 100% believe that the United States elections are free and fair. I mean, I don't really care what to be blamed because they're artificial intelligence for an election outcome. And here's the thing. If the data was actually new and surprising and meant something, why have we not actually like sanctioned them or like financially did something again? If there was if this was like new amazing information. It should mean something. What? That China believes that our elections are free? I'm just saying, in the grand scheme of things, it's not a big deal to me that China believes it's free. In the grand scheme of things, I trust the Chinese government as much as I trust the Iranian government or the Russian government. Weren't several people put to prison over Russia stitch? I think so. I'm pretty sure they were. Yeah. But burn bags. That burn bags thing, that was wild. That was a wild one. Actually, from what I heard later on, the only country that they actually got voter data from was Colorado. And that's because anyone can go onto their website and get and download the data. Why is that a problem? It's public information. If anyone could use it to do anything bad with, then it wouldn't be made free for anyone, literally anyone, to download. Oh, I agree. There's a ton of stuff that shouldn't be easily available on the internet, but I'm not going to sit here and say that China did something horrible when literally anyone can do it. there's no such thing as like, what are you talking about, Hope? You didn't actually say anything. Need fixing? No. Only thing that the American election system needs to do is pay attention to what's going on in the world, and if they find vulnerabilities, they need to fix it. But that's on every state to do every single time. That's what they do every single time. It's on states to protect their election systems. It's not on America as a whole. It's not on the United States as a whole. The United States as a whole does not have any authority over our election systems. China is loving Americans not believing the POTUS. I don't think China cares. I think POTUS needs to stop lying all the time, and then people would start believing the POTUS. I'm not going to believe POTUS just because when states are corrupted. Who gets to decide that a state's corrupted? Whose job is that? I think there's a bunker in Nebraska. That's where I'm going. There you go. Why you think he lies? He is a consummate liar. He's been a liar since way before he became president of the United States. Anyone who grew up in the Northeast knew that that man was a liar and a grifter. No, my eyes and ears told me that. CNN. You think I need CNN to tell me that? Jeez. You should hide out in the cheese caves. There you go. Lies like a proverbial rug. Court documents and conviction in New York, charged with lying, found guilty. Also that. Also that. People already show IDs for voting. It's not the IDs that are the problem. And the fact that you have been convinced that the problem is IDs shows that you don't understand how elections work or aren't listening. Insanely obvious real estate tax fraud, too. Yep. Have to run. All right, die. Have a good one. I did answer him. Actually, I did. I remember my parents said about him in the 80s and 90s. Why do you think my love for country should include the President of the United States? The President of the United States is a human being. He's no more special than anyone else. I never said IDs are bad. I show IDs every single election. The fact that you think that you think that the problem that people have is the ID part of things shows you don't know how our elections work, and you don't understand the Constitution. You don't know shit, Blanca. Oh, sure they are. Okay. What's up, Kelsey? Why are you so happy? Oh, because I love watching stupid people be so confident in my lives. It makes me so happy. Never said requiring an ID was stealing the election. A lot of states already require IDs. Anyone against citizenship verification and voter ID are cheaters? Okay. Ah. Anyone that votes for a pedo, a graper, and a 34-time convicted felon is more of a cheater. See, I can play it too. Because it's a dumb statement. That's why. Joe Biden's not president. Wanting citizenship verification is a dumb statement. Yes. 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 Yes, it is. Hey, AJ. Hey, I'm good. I'm trying to give Kia's live space. I know there are quite a few people that are very unhappy with me over there, so I don't want to cause any issues. But I still watch. Democratic Party is over. Okay. Hey, Candace. What do I expect from the truth? I don't expect any truth from the current president. What did I do? It's all good. Hope you're doing well. Hope you have grown. Every day I strive to grow. Never stop growing. I hope you're doing well too. Tell me what communism and socialism is, Johnny. Oh, you can't anymore. Hey, Kevin. Good evening. Oh, no, we weren't expecting anything good. People that aren't American citizens aren't voting. Why do you keep believing that that's happening when every ounce of data that has been done shows that the amount that the amount of times it happens is so minuscule? It is hot around here, AJ. It is hot around here. The amount of people that vote that aren't allowed to is so minuscule. See, you're not even listening. There's data. The Heritage Foundation did a study and found that out of what, I think 2 billion votes over 20 years, something like that, only 1,000 votes happened by people that weren't allowed to vote out of billions. You're drinking the Kool-Aid. They are as safe. Only 1,000 people in the last 20 years voted that weren't supposed to? You think that's not safe? It was over 40 years? There you go. Even more. One is too many. Yeah, and the ones that did probably got arrested or deported. Who said that their votes got actually counted? It is accurate. It is accurate. Where are you getting your data from, Roll Tide Girl, that you think that I'm just wrong? Where are you getting your data from that you think that my data is wrong? Democratic Party is a corporation, Thicket. Can't be unalived. Nobody is a Democrat. You're the only people that have your identity with a political party. Literally identify with a corporation. It's kind of sad, actually. I'm asking you where you're getting your data from. You're saying my data is not accurate. I'm saying, where did you get your data from? How do you know that my data is not accurate? You have to have something to compare it to, or is it just a feeling? Hey, Ezzy. That's really sad, Todd. I am not. We're like right on the edge of it, Effie. So if we have it, it's really thin right now. Oh, yeah. A lot of states are dealing with it. Massachusetts is dealing with it, Pennsylvania, New York, Connecticut, New Jersey, Illinois, Ohio, Indiana. Obama? It's got to be Obama, right, Effie? I hope so too. This country is a mess. Yeah. But that's not abnormal. We go through mess and couldn't possibly be the lack of rain in Canada. Yeah, I mean, they've been getting a lot more fires over the last few years. Did you see that? Did you see that Trump was considering sanctioning Canada over the smoke from the forest fires? Thank you, AJ. Oh, was it tariffs? I thought it was sanctions, but maybe it was tariffs. He really is ridiculous. It was sanctioned. Well, let's look it up and find out. Nebraska. I know Nebraska, Utah. Utah was dealing with forest fires too. 100-year floods twice in 2 years. I know, right? But everything is fine. Well, I mean, we know, Eldritch, what the problem is certain people have been told to be scared of the word socialism. And again, not saying socialism is perfect, but dang. Republicans threaten Canada with sanctions over drifting wildfire smoke. Trump says Canada will face tariffs over wildfire smoke. I mean, all they hear is social, and they think everything's the same. So we have to, Canada has to pay for the smoke. I mean, that's pretty much what a social democracy is a mix. Hey, Eleanor. Oh, it's right. That's true. That's not how tariffs work. We'd have to pay for the smoke. I don't think they're actually going to tariff smoke, but happy Friday. Anyone got anything fun this weekend? Have you read the letter from Congress to Prime Minister Carney? I haven't. Going to Houston to visit family? Hell yeah. That's awesome. Hello, Jeremiah, on this side now. Yeah, Houston dealing with a lot. Maine dealing with a lot. They state with sovereignty comes responsibility. Oh my gosh. People are dumb. Mark Wayne Mullen trying to force the SAVE Act. Yeah. That's, I mean, again, are any of us surprised? We said Mark Wayne Mullen was going to be like this. We said he was not going to be he was not going to be any better than the old head of the DHS. Here's the reality is a lot of people are going to have to get uncomfortable, because I don't think things are going to get better or they're going to get worse before they get better. He is trying to force states to do parts of the SAVE Act, or what they call the SAFE Act, I think is what he's calling it, or something like that. And by like just threatening states. Saying, if you don't do what I tell you, I forget what he threatened he was going to do, but it was idiotic. Which is most of what they say. So I guess that's, again, par for the course. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for all the gifts and the likes and the shares. I appreciate you. Hey, Jelly. As a Pennsylvanian. Yeah, what did you, Effie, what did you think when, did you see the report that Fetterman said that if the Democratic Party becomes, starts becoming quote unquote anti-I country, that he's going to leave the party? My response to seeing that was, most people don't think you're part of the Democratic Party anyways anymore, so I hope Fetterman doesn't let the door hit him on the way out. True. Mark Wayne Mullen threatened to put state leaders in jail if they didn't go along with his recommendations in the SAFE Act. Yeah, well, good luck on that. I would love to see them try. I would love to see them try. I would love to see them try. Can he start with Abbott? Why? Abbott's doing what they tell him to do. Although he did tell people at one point to set their thermostats to 78, and we've now been told that that is a communist action. That we're not living. I don't think we're living in one quite yet. I think, hey Linda, I think Michelle, that what we are living in is people that want to turn it into a more authoritarian state. I wouldn't say we're in it yet, but they're definitely trying. Is it 2028 yet? I know, right? Is Abbott up for re-election? Yes. Yes. The governor's the election for governor in Texas is this year. Like really trying. Oh yeah, they're trying hard. Thank you, Linda. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for all of the support that you give. I mean, Houston votes pretty blue when actually their policies are doing that. Yep. Oh, yeah. Houston, Dallas, and Austin. Although they're getting very nervous because I guess there's some polling that came out that said that Hispanics in Texas are distancing themselves from Trump and the Republican Party like more than they've ever done before. So they actually think there's more of a chance than there used to be, which is crazy to think about. Hey, Ghost. I'm afraid to be hopeful. You know, I'm done with being hopeful per se. I'm just doing what I'm doing, which is trying to encourage as many people to vote as humanly possible. If you still have primaries, vote in your primary. Make sure you vote in the general election. That's all you can do. Hey, Silver. That's all you can do. We're at a point now where that's all you can do. And fight against the things, speak out, fight against the things that are happening that are anti-American. Anti-humanity. Get pissed and go vote. Basically, the way I put it is, especially after last night's speech, and especially the stuff that Steve Miller has said and Marco Rubio, we need to vote like they did in Hungary. We need to do the Hungary voting method. We need to come out in such big numbers against this bullshit that they cannot argue against it. It has to be so big. Why is the DSA even an issue? It's not. It's not an issue. Why are the GOP making it an issue? Because they know they're losing. And they've all been taught socialism bad. Socialism bad. And again, pure socialism probably wouldn't work, especially in our current society. But like a social democracy, democratic socialism, one of those two, those could work. Our Democratic candidate just pulled out of the Senate race today, so it's Pete Ricketts, Republican, and Dan Osborne, Independent. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I heard about that. Yes, regularly check your voter registration, too. Yep. No, they only cry election fraud when they lose. So they didn't cry election fraud in 2024. They didn't cry election fraud in 2016. Those were great. They didn't cry them then. I'm in South Carolina waiting to see who's going to run next month to take Graham's place. Yeah. Yeah. Hey, meme. Yeah. Only when he loses, or the people that he wants to win lose. Universal healthcare is not, single payer healthcare is not radical. That is correct. Single payer healthcare is not radical. That is 100% true. I still think it's hilarious that, well, and again, it comes down to a lot of people on the right's idea of who deserves to get things, right? That's really what it comes down to, is their perspective that certain people deserve certain things and others don't deserve it. Nothing DSA wants is radical. I mean, I could see an argument for some of the stuff in their newest group of things they want being looked at as a little more radical, but in general, no, they're not. Still going with Dr. Annie Andrews. Oh yeah, for sure. GOP always has a boogeyman. I mean, to be fair, the GOP and the Democratic Party aren't immune to that whole boogeyman idea. It's why we haven't gotten really a new immigration policy in forever. It's why we don't do a lot of things in this country. But then I'm a pure socialist. And that's fine. Again, I've said this before. In my ideal world, in my ideal setup, my society would look way closer to, say, like a communism, probably. But I know that's not going to happen. So I'm not even worrying about that. I'm not even fighting for that. Right now, I just want everyone to be able to afford to survive. That's all I'm fighting for. That's all I'm fighting for. I want people to be able to afford to live. Jill Stein always comes around every 4 years. That's also true. Markey is calling for impeachment again. Of course he is. I've heard people are calling for the 25th now, too, because of last night's speech. Imagine how strong and happy we'd be with universal health care and free college. Oh, the country would be killing it. Capitalism is still exploitative, but if the lower standard of living is set at a high enough level, the exploitation can be acceptable. Yeah. I mean, you got to start somewhere. Well, Finn, I guess we'll see. I've heard a lot of people over the last 47 years of my life say that, you know, we're at the end. This is the end of civilization. This is the end of society. This isn't the first time. Maybe you're right. I guess we'll find out. It's not going to change what I do. I don't think people are acting like this is the first. They're acting like this is the worst. Which, there is an argument that it is the worst. I mean, I didn't vote for him in the primaries. I'm just saying it's the end of the world as we know it. Just listening, trying to understand how anyone doesn't see through him. There's not one answer to that question. There are multiple reasons, but most of it is fear. Most of it is fear. What are you talking about? I already show ID when I vote. It has nothing to do with ID to vote. How about you actually understand what you're talking about before you come in and just spew what the news tells you? Not everyone does. No, they have other ways of doing it. Again, you guys think that the second you vote, everything is done. That's not how it works. There is always double and usually triple checks. Called cheating? No. Again, you don't understand how states' elections work if you think that. How did Bush win the Supreme Court? People need to get an understanding of how government and its agencies work before repeating talking points. True. Red is a color. I vote for people that align with my fundamentals. Right now, no one in the Republican Party I have found aligns with my fundamentals. What if all states offered free photo ID? Free? And made it easy for people to get to like do? Obviously they would have to show, they would need some sort of information, but as long as it wasn't overly difficult to get, again, almost all states do some sort of ID process. Well, and again, Georgia, the internet didn't help. You're getting confused. No, I'm not. You just can't make it overly difficult and cost anything to obtain. Correct. Because then it is a poll tax. Is that I'm being asked to come up with all of my lost documentation that I already presented to obtain my driver's license and passport initially. True. The Supreme Court disagrees. No, the Supreme Court agrees. That's the whole problem of poll taxes have come up a lot. If it costs money or is overly difficult for people to get, that would be considered a poll tax. No such thing as a poll tax? Of course there is. I never said requiring an ID is a poll tax. Again, it's not about an ID. Are your lives going to be evenings now? Just for the next week, because I'm working a musical in the mornings for the next week. Am I old enough to buy beer? Yeah, I'm old enough to buy beer. Maybe I'll ask my 19-year-old daughter if I'm old enough to buy beer. I was hoping they'd dust off the Kraken. What do you think about the fraud, waste, and abuse? What about it? Anyone that's found of committing fraud, waste, and abuse should be punished. And only answering the questions you want? Yeah, that's how a live works. You only answer the questions that you want. Welcome. Can't debate? I don't debate. If you read my thing, you would see that it says don't debate. Waste of time? Okay. Why do you think that MAGA is a bigger problem? Because I don't think MAGA actually cares about Americans. I think MAGA lacks humanity and empathy and does not actually want all Americans to have rights, respect, dignity, safety, and all Americans to thrive. That's why I think MAGA is a bigger problem. I think any group of people that are willing to vote a adjudicated rapist, someone who has 34 felony convictions and is like in the e-files more than any other person other than the two main people, that tells me what kind of a person you are. They're just trying to make the DSA the boogeyman. You know, it was trans people before, now it's socialism and communism. Because people that look like me grew up in a racist society. And not all, but that is why our society was literally built on racism. And it was taught. Oh, there is a large segment of our society that does hate people of color. I agree. Those who have been going out of their way since Trump got back into office to make everyone feel inclusive and welcome because the environment is understood. That is, yeah. They're having a rude awakening. Yep. I mean, they're having a rude awakening in rural America as a whole, with hospitals going away, schools shutting down, farms shutting down. They're getting a rude awakening everywhere in rural red areas. It's kind of sad. What do they need from a hospital? They have YouTube instead. It's true. True, you can do a lot of things from YouTube now. I'm not a doctor, but I watched a YouTube video. Hey, Lori. What do you think about the iCountry wanting to join military forces? I think we should have nothing to do with the iCountry. None. Literally none. Todd, MAGA wouldn't know the truth if it smacked him on the back of the head. Oh, and I think someone asked it. I don't know if they're here anymore, but Aw, Billy, I hope you enjoy getting reported. Let me guess, you love all people. It's spelled MAGA. It's true. Hello. Bill apparently isn't man enough. Oh. I wouldn't consider anyone man enough when they come into someone's live and their first comment is to basically telling them to unalive themselves. I'm gonna get my firearm, I swear I'm gonna do it. I know, right? You're debating? No. Having conversations. I don't debate. People that want to debate don't actually want to have conversations. They just want gotcha moments. When does this end already? Unfortunately, no time soon. I'm debating what's for dinner. There you go. Manipulate elections. Sure, they'll do it. They're already doing. Well, yeah, he tried in Hungary and failed. I think that's the only positive we have out of all this, right? Is he tried. He tried to do it in Hungary. Our president tried to do it in Hungary and failed miserably. Wait, Pringles for dinner? There you go. We're at the end. All the old people call up the home shopping network guy and tell him he should. Well, I mean, we got the My Pillow guy running for governor, right? Again. JG, what are socialists and communists? Those are two different things. And in what way do you think they're taking over? And it's not my party. It's a party. Democratic Party and the Republican Party are just corporations. So tell me how people's ideals for a society can take over corporations. What do you think about all these people that keep saying Graham Plattner should stay on the main ticket? They're angry and they're scared. And I get it. But no, he shouldn't stay on. We either care about accountability or we don't care about accountability. And if I'm not willing, you give them more grace than I do. I mean, there's nothing to give or not give. They're allowed their opinion. Now, I will lose a lot of respect for them if they choose to vote for him anyway, even when he's not on the ticket, like write him in or something. But I mean, and people also tell me that I give a lot more grace, but that will prove that they never cared to begin with. True. I'm on vacation, so I can practically eat whatever I want. Heck yeah. Where are you on vacation? Are you at home? Is it a home vacation? Or are you traveling somewhere? Or did you travel somewhere? Can't believe the pillow guy is running for governor. I can. That doesn't surprise me at all. Especially if Trump can run for president. Truth. Ain't that the truth? Anyone doing anything fun this weekend? What are people's weekend plans? I think having a criminal record is a prerequisite for running on the GOP ticket, right? How wild. One Republican comes in accusing you of repeated talking points, then JJ comes in repeating MAGA. And they never can answer my question. You ask them what they think socialism and communism means and what they don't like about it, and they never answer. They just go away. Painting your bathroom? Nice. Side hustle? Okay, all right. Staying inside? Yeah, unfortunately a lot of people are probably staying inside. There are no sides, Todd. This isn't a game. I don't care about what letter is next to your name. I care about what you stand for. And I do not believe that anyone in the GOP right now actually believes in making life better for Americans. At least not for all Americans. Our Democratic candidate, Lynn Walls, is a relative of Tim Walls. Oh, nice. MAGA hypocrisy knows no limits. Truth. What do you make of the Mark Wayne announcements today? Just more threats and not a surprise. I've said before that this administration is going to do everything humanly possible to put their thumb on the results of this election. And they will threaten and do anything that they can get away with. So none of it surprised me. The reality is the federal government doesn't have authority over states' elections. So he can say what he wants, but they're going to lose. Just because Homeland Security decides to make some rule doesn't mean that everyone can follow it. How is that constitutional? What Mark Wayne Mullen is doing? It's not. That doesn't mean they won't try. In the end, what are the worst results that they get? They get a slap on the wrist from the from the judicial. He can declare it all he wants. He has no authority over whether or not it's a fraud. He doesn't get a say in it. He declared the 2020 election a fraud, and he tried to do something, but he ended up failing. Sure, we need to be aware. We need to plan. It's I'm not trying to I'm not trying to diminish the fear of him trying to do it. He's going to. And we're all going to have to accept that. And we're all going to have to stand up and fight against it. We need to be aware and fight against it when he does it. Oh, there's some people that sometimes do, Michelle. I appreciate you saying you know you're not, but I have learned in the past that it's important to make sure that people know that I'm not diminishing the fear. It's an important thing to do. So I do it. Even if it was passed, it would be challenged. Yep. Well, yeah, and it's even harder in text, right? In text, it's even harder. People can read things wrong. It's even more important how you word things in text. So. Because in the end, the answer is he is going to try and push every limit humanly possible to help him win. That's why I keep saying we need to hungry this thing. We need to get more people out to vote in this election than have ever voted before. Or at least we need to win things by high margins. The higher the margin, the less argument he has that it was stolen. If we're winning by 11,000 votes, why would we stop voting Democrat? If Democrats align with my fundamentals, It's a really dumb statement. We're a two-party system. Do you think anyone would only vote one party? That would be dumb. The fact that you even think that way is a dumb way of thinking. The fact that you actually only care about a letter is why we're in the we're dealing with all of this shit. Maybe, Seth, if you learn to grow up and be an adult when it comes to politics and voting. Every single one of us are being monitored right now just for being here. It's possible. Probable. I've already made my bed. I might as well keep fighting the fight. Except that I was on a list the first time I said, you know what, this capitalism thing kind of sucks. Well, you're definitely not a friend of the makers of social media. Hey, Gigi, how are you? Driving? Well, drive safely. Hi, I guess I'm here now. Hey, Donovan. Where were you before? Blanche met with the survivor. Yeah, I saw that, Aaron. I saw that Blanche's meeting with the survivors was kind of pathetic. I hope Tillis does not just give him the vote because he did that after hearing what happened in it. I hope Tillis doesn't just be like, well, he met with him. That's what I told him to do. They subpoenaed your library records. I'm hearing that Blanche will get confirmed. We'll see. You may be right. It wouldn't surprise me, unfortunately. Honest, I'd rather be unalived than live in the kind of world these people want. I mean, I can understand that perspective. I think it's our job to fight, but I can understand that. I have a less political question, just because I appreciate your takes when I catch you. How do you stay hopeful? Some of it is knowing what's happened in the past. Things always get worse before they can get better. Some of it is the work I've done interviewing candidates that are running for office. There are just some amazing people that are running. Even ones that didn't win primaries this year are already planning on running 2 years from now. Just the amount of times I'm seeing like one person just randomly be like really like get an aha moment. I guess that's all it takes. I know it's not going to be fast. Why would I make a case for conservative causes? I make no case for conservative causes. I think being a conservative is one of the worst things that you could possibly be. Our job is to make the world better for our kids and our grandkids, not keep it the way it's always been. I have humanity and empathy. I don't believe most conservatives in the United States right now have that. Oh, I know he's not. But he can say those things. It gives me a good, it gives me a, it's helping the algorithm. What gives me hope is the extreme unpopularity this administration has right now and how it's lost at just about every level. Yeah. And unfortunately, I've said this before. Unfortunately, the change that we need to go through because of how we got here, there's going to be pain along with it, right? There's no escaping it. Unfortunately, to actually, because of how we got here, because of the steps that got us here, the process of fixing it is going to cause a lot of pain for the for the American people. There is no escaping it. There's none. And some more than others, unfortunately. All we can do is try and get more people to listen. What's up, Aaron? More people to grow, more people to step out. More people to get uncomfortable. You need more people to be willing to be uncomfortable. How you doing, Aaron? How's life treating you? I wrote to my congressman and both senators today. Nice. Hey, Tall. No more cast and splint on... Oh, hell yeah. Oh. I mean, you know, Belle, there is nothing that I would love more than being wrong about the fact that we have to suffer. I don't see how I cannot see a path that doesn't involve suffering, more suffering, unfortunately. I hope I'm wrong though. But I also think it's important that we be realistic about it. Thing is, I'm retired and this orange pizza taco wants me to work. I'm 65 years old and I can't work. Scholars are saying the same thing as you. This is... Change happens when enough people get to a point where they're willing to deal with potential consequences to fight back against stuff like the government. My daughter's not a Trump supporter. And even if what do you mean, what if? What if? What if she was? I know she's not, but what if she was? What does that have to do with anything? When I see Albania in the streets for weeks, we can do more. Oh yeah, America has gotten very comfortable in their everything. I know, right, Garpu? Can't we get a few stadiums, get a good speaker? If they build it, we will come. What do you mean? Be very mad at her? Would I be? What would I be? How do you know what I would be at my daughter if she was a Trump supporter? I would have a talk with her. But again, she's not. So it's a moot point. I don't know exactly what I would do or how I would handle it. It would kind of depend on the situation. I know he's talking about Field of Dreams, but taught our children to be empathetic and care about others. Is it okay to ask if you talked to Gigi? Oh, you mean Kia? I have not talked to Kia in a while. Unfortunately. I know. I am too. I am too. We need to show up en masse, hold bigger rallies, bigger protests. I feel like we're just sitting on our hands. I can understand that. I've been a content creator for 10 years now. And this is not to excuse it. And again, I promise you, I'm not just. I hope and pray one day that we are able to figure out and work a way past what separated, what caused the separation. But I also know that the unfortunate reality of the internet is it's all too easy to just separate when things when something happens that you don't like, and I have no control over that. I unfortunately had to learn the hard way. I had too many times that I had near breakdowns because what's the background noise you're hearing? Probably a dryer. There's nothing else going on, so I don't know. Yeah, you're not used to having people in the house while I'm live. Usually I'm live in the morning. So there aren't house noises. Thank you, Patty. Thank you, Blue. It's hard. It's hard. That's a dryer. I know that sound. Yeah, we have those dryer balls in it that. Oh, you're fine. People just can hear it. should not be silenced. We need to make good trouble. We do. But the fact is we need to convince people to make good trouble. We got to convince people that we have to be able to have conversations with people and get them to the point to understand and agree with problems. Thank you, Siberio. Thank you, Shell. We can't look back and say, what if? I mean, we always need to learn. We always need to grow. As I said, after it all happened, I definitely could do better. I can always do better. I'm not, you know, I still believe that I did screw up in how I responded to everything that happened. And I accept that. But in the end, I have to make the best decision for what my goal is for the podcast. So there is no election stealing, though, Texas Granddad. There is no data anywhere that's to show that there is a problem that you guys are saying that there is. No, Save America Act did not pass. Life is messy. People have different experiences that cause them to interact with the world differently. Again, do I think election integrity is important? Of course I do. What I'm saying is there is no proof of a problem. Not the kind of problem that would actually the effect that is affecting the results of any election. .00034%. Yep, that sounds about right. You're more likely to get hit by lightning. It's true. Same people screaming about election integrity are the ones who are stealing the ballot boxes and starting them on fire. True. How does he want to steal the election? He wants to make so much doubt in it that he can somehow, that he's going to attempt to try and take control of it. Now, again, will he succeed? I don't think so. I hope not. But he's basically screaming fraud while trying to instill fraud. Why not pass the SAVE Act? Because the SAVE Act is unconstitutional. That's why. Because the SAVE Act wouldn't actually fix the problem. Because anything that requires a too much effort or costs money is a poll tax, and poll taxes are unconstitutional. Statistically, Republicans did more mail-in votes than Dems for decades until COVID. The border during COVID? And? What's so hard about showing ID? It's not about ID. What border? Across the state borders? Mexico. What does that have to do with anything? What does having to show a passport to go across the border into Mexico have to do with voting? Or registering to vote? Forced to get a passport. Forcing someone to use a passport to go into another country is very different. Any country can make whatever rule they want for what you need in order to go into their country. That is a completely different. You don't have to go into Mexico. There's no constitutional right to traveling to Mexico, but there is a constitutional right to vote and not have it cost money because it is considered a poll tax. It disenfranchises the poor, the disabled, and the elderly. MAGA is not winning. See that as an excuse? No, that's the reality. That's the Constitution. No, he did not give them a driver's license to undocumented immigrants so they could vote. Undocumented immigrants cannot vote. No, he didn't. Again, no, he didn't. But besides that, the actual act of voting is not all that's involved in voting. I sold car insurance. So, California does have voter ID. It just works differently. The way you register is different. The way they actually deal with the vote after you put your vote in is different. They don't just accept it and Bob's your uncle. That's why it takes so long. The Haitians had driver same birthday and same month, all of them 1-1. Okay. That's not how voter ID works, counting the votes. It is. There's more to the vote than just the sliding in the votes. It's then verified multiple times. There's verification processes after. Republican is the past. There is no change with the Republican Party. The fact that you think voting Republican is change is hilarious. People crossing the border aren't voting. They are not importing new electorate. It's illegal for for non-citizens to vote. I live in North Carolina. I show my ID to vote. That's not all that's in the SAVE Act. Drugs aren't in the Constitution. It absolutely is the practice. Again, the Heritage Foundation looked at over like 2 or 3 billion votes and found that only 1,000 people voted. There was only 1,000 out of 40 years of voting. The Heritage Foundation fabricated it. The Heritage Foundation. Oh my gosh. I guess Trump's own CIA and FBI also saying that there was no fraud after the 2020 election doesn't matter to you either. Voting in America is one of the most secure in the world. And it got even more secure after the 2020 election because of how much of a magnifying glass was on the entire thing. I heard a little while back that Project 2025 is now 53% complete. It may be. I saw more ballot boxes all over LA County than before. Good. It's awesome. More places for people to vote, making it easier for people to vote. That's great. What's up, Angel? No. You understand that each state counts their stuff differently, Chosen One. Just because you don't like it doesn't matter. every state counts their stuff differently, because every state gets the ability to run their elections differently. Hey, Vonda. Did Lewis just end? Hey, Rachel. What's up, Scott? Scott, I know you guys are probably leaving soon, but you want to come up for a little bit? I got like 15, 20 minutes left before I'm going to head out. But I'd love to actually talk to somebody. But if you're tired, that's fine. All right, cool.
Hey, good evening, Mike. How are you? How is everybody in chat?
It is. I'm still, you know, I've been doing this. You've been a part of this community for a long time, and we have interacted with a lot of different arguments from a lot of different people. And I'm still just dumbfounded at how little people pay attention to what other people are saying, or just straight up listen. Like the fact that I can point out that the Heritage Foundation put out a document that said that only 1,000 people voted out of how many billions over the last 40 years? And people tell me that I'm lying.
Yeah, well, I always tell people there is a guy by the name of Ben Ginsburg. He is the Republicans' leading election expert. And he wrote a long essay with about 10 or 12 co-authors, all of whom are Republican, after the 2020 election. And he's the guy who got Florida for Bush. I mean, he is one hell of an attorney. And he's the nation's leading election expert. You know, we have Elias on the Democratic side, but Elias even admits he's nothing compared to Ben Ginsburg. And he wrote, it's impossible. You know, just the way elections work, it's impossible to rig an election in the United States. It's not possible. The things in 2020, there just was no substantive voter fraud. We don't have that problem in the United States. You know, I took a look at what the president said last night. As you know, I watched it, obviously. And I actually took him up on his offer and looked into the released documents. I have a few comments. I have a few comments if you want to hear them.
I would love to.
Well, Trump said last night during his speech that we are at the mercy of China and the deep state, and that this grand conspiracy started in 2018, but he said he was wise to them, which of course leaves unanswered. If you were wise to it, why did you allow it to happen? But he was the president who was in charge of the deep state, and apparently he was hoodwinked by his own deep state. So he said, don't take my word for it. Go to the documents that I am declassifying and see what they say. Well, I took him up on his offer. They didn't say anything that Trump said that they said. In fact, the Director of National Intelligence report that Donald Trump references specifically said that China considered but rejected attempts to interfere with the election, that there has been no evidence, and I'm quoting directly, there has been no evidence that Beijing is engaged in an effort to influence, let alone interfere with the election. The exact same document that Donald Trump told us to read, that he declassified, however, has plenty to say about Russia.
Yes.
It has plenty to say about Russia. And what does it say about Russia? That Russia did interfere with the election, both in 2016 and in 2020, And they did so to help
Trump.
Donald Trump.
Yep. Their own documents. Their own documents. Oh. Did you see
what was
did you see the it was like a graph on one of them? It showed Iran, China, and Russia, and it showed a bunch of different things, and it gave little check marks to show like if each country had done it. And under the election part, like China's literally there, and it's like China, and that what they showed wasn't a check mark. It was like they considered it but never actually went through it. But Russia, there was a check mark on the whole thing.
Absolutely. There was interference in the election. How effective it was is open to debate, since Joe Biden won rather easily. But that was by Russia, and the interference was designed to help Donald Trump. That's fact. Now, this is in fact drawn up by me, drawn up by Mike, drawn up by chat. This is the report of Donald Trump's own government. And this is the report Donald Trump wants us to read, that apparently neither him nor anybody else in his own government today has bothered to read before they released it. So what was the purpose of releasing this? Well, there's a number of issues here. First and foremost, it was to assuage his wounded ego and his psychotic obsession with losing to Joe Biden. But more importantly for us, it is to attack, falsely, the legitimacy of the midterms. And I believe this is a predicate to the fact that he's going to attempt to interfere with them. We've been wondering if he was going to try that, or if he could try that. I think it's now clear that that is precisely what he intends to do.
I mean, Markwayne Mullen started that whole thing today.
Yeah, that's interesting. Markwayne Mullen says, if you don't do this, we're going to withhold disaster funding, which is pretty interesting, considering the fact that the states run elections, Markwayne Mullen or nobody else in the executive branch does. And point number two, that money is appropriated by Congress, not the administration. So good luck with that, Markwayne Mullen. Now, there's another reason why Trump did this, and that's to rally the MAGA base, which is melting like an ice cube in boiling water. The polls are showing that the Republicans are unlikely to show up in the midterms. In fact, the Democratic and the enthusiasm gap, and that's what it's called, the Democrats now have a 20-point lead in the enthusiasm gap, and I've never seen one that big. So they're in trouble, and he's attempting to rally his base. Will it work? Well, there's an answer to that. And take a look, go back to 2021 and the Georgia runoffs. You had two Senate runoffs. Remember that? Warnock and Ossoff?
Yep.
Now, Donald Trump had already lost the presidential election, but the senatorial election, with the fate of the Senate hanging in the balance, went over into January of 2021, and Donald Trump went down to campaign for them, and boy, what a good job he did. His idea of campaigning for the Republican candidates was to bemoan the fact that he got rigged, that elections were rigged, machines are rigged, everything's rigged. Well, what happened? What happened was exactly what's going to happen this time. You had a drop-off of Republican participation in the runoff of 750,000 votes. And he so annoyed the Democrats that you had an increase among the Democrats of 250,000 votes. Folks, that's a 1 million vote shift in just one state, all because Donald Trump was whining about rigged elections. Well, why the hell would this be any different? This is one of the worst own goals I have ever seen by a politician who is, and the results we've seen today in Washington and throughout the country, Republicans are not rallying to Trump's side on this. They are livid. Well, and they see Trump obsessing about an election 6 years ago again, and not talking about affordability, not talking about Iran, not talking about the issues that the American people, including Republicans, want to hear. I mean, this is going to hurt them.
And let's even take it a step farther. If China was a problem and did everything that he claimed they did, why is he inviting Xi Jinping to the United States to buddy up with them and not sanctioning them instead for what they did to our elections? If he has evidence of people doing everything that he's claiming? Why is he only releasing files and not actually doing anything about it?
Good question, and somebody should ask him that. He won't have an answer. And, will this harm American-Chinese relations? Oh, of course not. President Xi wants to come to America so he can dog walk Donald Trump again, and Trump will sign yet another trade agreement with China that is so one-sided in China's favor. Xi loves negotiating with Trump because Trump gives away the store. Xi's in it for the money. He doesn't give a shit what Donald Trump says. Exactly. Trump whines, blames, and has theatrics. That's exactly correct.
Yep.
Very good comment in chat.
What? I mean, the documents that Trump just released last night, Lawyer Shark, showed that, or talked about the CIA and FBI documentation, talked about the fact that Russia did quite a bit of
Russia attempted to influence and interfere with our elections. China did not. And again, this isn't my opinion. This is the opinion of the very documents that Trump recommended we all take a look at. Well, we did. And they don't say what Donald Trump said they said. And who made that determination? Donald Trump's own Director of National Intelligence. They're the ones who came up with this. Now, was Russia effective in their interference? Probably not. But they did attempt to interfere with our elections.
Well, again, you can't put I don't know if anyone could put an actual like specific like number on how effective they were. Wasn't the question.
Yeah, Lawyer Shark, I honestly don't know the point you're trying to make. The issue is whether they attempted to interfere with our elections. Whether it was whether they were effective at it is a completely different question.
I mean,
and
again,
in fact, the odds are that they weren't effective. Why weren't they effective? Because American elections are safe and secure.
And China didn't attempt to interfere. According to the documentation they released last night, no.
No, they did not. They did not. They did not attempt to interfere or even influence the election. They did nothing. Not because they're nice guys. And in fact, the DNI report does say China thought about it, but China decided that they would get caught if they did it, and the candle wasn't worth the game because they knew they wouldn't be able to influence the election.
Let's be fair.
Which is a big difference between President Xi and President Putin. President Xi is a very intelligent person. President Putin is not.
Let's be fair. What Russia did in the elections, what they did is probably equivalent to basically what Iran is doing with those Lego videos. Putin is a genius. What you mean?
Yeah, Putin's quite the genius. Ukraine proves that. What are you kidding me?
No,
I think he's being sarcastic. Though.
There's no direct evidence China interfered. Literally, the report said so.
Sevens, where are you coming up with this? Did you look at the report? Because I know I did. I know Mike did.
Yes, China did respond to the claims to say what's direct versus indirect.
There are influence campaigns and interference campaigns. Interference is more direct. Influence is less
Lego movies.
is more subjective. At any rate, China did neither, and that's according to Trump's own government at the time. That's according to Trump's own government. That isn't my opinion.
They do it indirectly. Okay.
Okay.
Whatever. China's dealing with their own shit right now. They've got, I know we like to point out all of the things that they're doing right, and they are doing some things right. But they're not fully escaped from issues. They've got some massive issues.
And by the way, that's exactly the point, Lawyer Shark. China does have better things to do, and that's the conclusion they came to. They didn't not interfere in American elections out of some great love for American democracy. They just figured it would be ineffectual, and China doesn't do things that are ineffectual.
Well, unfortunately, bot farms aren't a reason to pass the SAVE Act. Bringing us down is not the greatest thing they can do.
Look, if you want to judge the speech last night, take a look at the Republican reaction. I've never seen.
He's flipping
I mean, this went over about as popular as a turd at a garden party.
Not even Fox News carried it. CBS ended their coverage early.
Because he was saying he was babbling on incoherently about phantom conspiracy theories. And the reporting today has been hilarious. Fox, it's like story number 12. Even on Newsmax, it was like story number 6. Republicans who are running for office, I didn't see the speech. I can't comment on it. They're trying to run and hide because they know that their own constituents, their own voters, want to hear about gas prices. They want to hear about how they're going to get health care. They want to hear about the price of groceries. And here is a doddering old man once again rambling incoherently about an election that took place 6 years ago.
Did you see the interview, the interview with Cornyn and what's his name? The other Republican.
Well, I heard what Cornyn said. Was he with Bacon? Because Bacon blasted him too.
No, it's another C guy. Like somebody knows. Come on, chat, help me out.
Yeah, Cornyn blasted it today.
Yeah, there was,
and Bacon said this is not helping.
No, I know Cornyn. There was 2 senators. The one who's a doctor, the one who flipped out at the CDC. Cassidy. Cornyn and Cassidy were being interviewed. They were sitting on a stool, and Cornyn was like, I don't know why we're still talking about something that's 6 years old, and all this. Like, they were both going, what's his face in the House was sitting there talking about how ridiculous it is that we're making people think that our elections aren't safe. Kentucky guy, Tennessee guy, forget what, Kentucky guy. Yeah, whatever his name is.
And Cornyn and Cassidy understand and remember like it was yesterday what happened the last time Donald Trump. Yeah, what happened the last time Donald Trump went off on this tangent in 2021? It cost him the Senate. The Democrats won both of those runoff elections, and they won them easily because Donald Trump went down. And when you tell people that our election system is crooked, what's your average person going to do? They say, why should I bother voting?
Mm-hmm.
And Democrats get so pissed off that they want to vote more. This is not only not effective, it's counterproductive. And we have evidence of that in 2021.
Yes, Shell. It's sad that our Congress has gotten to this point. I mean, I have no love for Massey, never have. He has supported some of the worst things I can imagine, but he is one of the few that, at least in general, in certain cases, has stuck to his laurels again and again and again. He still has horrible ideals in other cases, but it doesn't matter what party it is. Like when it comes to like a balanced budget, that man has always voted against increasing the budget. Every single time. That man basically never votes for increasing a budget.
Yeah, Shellbell, you're right. It is amazing to see these Republican politicians who are now coming out and starting to move away from Trump. The only thing they all have in common is they're leaving office. Now they find their moral courage. Sorry, too late.
Oh, I know Massey's not my friend. Trust me, I would never vote for Massey for anything. He is as despicable a human being as any of them. Trust me, it has nothing. It's not a. As I've said plenty of times, I will point out what people do that I agree with. It's not about thinking anyone is perfect or my friend or trusting them. I don't trust any politician 100%. None of them. He's not qualified to run again. It's the midterm election. He's not running now. Maybe you should learn how it works. Just saying. I watched when I was watching the video, the replay of the video, and how me laughing in the beginning. Good mythical evening, Dennis. I forgot how funny that was, because we were talking right before it. They were like, what if he just comes out and starts doing the same thing he did in the last time he was on national TV? And for him to come out and say, before I start talking about what we're here to talk about tonight, let me just go on this diatribe. It broke me.
Not for nothing, but Donald Trump having to give a set speech off a teleprompter never goes well for him. He is at his best when he's freewheeling it at one of his rallies, and that's not what's necessary, unfortunately, for the midterms. He has to find a way to motivate the base, and last night was a step backwards, not a step forwards for the Republicans.
That's weird, Kenny, because Trump's own national FBI and CIA said there wasn't any. So I'm not sure how you think that that's happening.
I know, Vonda. He really struggles to read. He can't do a set piece speech.
I think term limits and age limits are necessary now, Lawyer Shark, unfortunately. We've talked about it before. I think ideally more of the country would care and vote in the primaries as well as the general election, and it would work as it was designed to work, and term limits would be people voting. But it's shown that that's not possible, unfortunately. This country, at least right now, does not have the capability of handling that. So I think we need term limits, and I was against it, and I was against it for years. And I said it here, and I said we just need to get people out to vote. And then after years and years and years and years of talking about it, seeing that still 15 to 25% of people are getting out and voting in the primaries, I'm just like, nope, we need term limits. That's the only.
I think we need term and age limits, not only for Congress, but for the Supreme Court. And I also think, first and foremost, on the Supreme Court, for obvious reasons, we need a code of ethics on the Supreme Court. It is amazing to me that I have to obey a code of ethics as a lawyer. You have every judge in the country except the Supreme Court has a canon of ethics that they have to follow, and the Supreme Court does not. That's ridiculous. And by the way, that's something Congress can fix. People forget that the Supreme Court is the Supreme Court, but they are in effect an appellate court, and they fall under the jurisdiction of Congress like every other appellate court. And Congress, if they had the guts, could ram down a code of ethics for them.
And hence why they have to go to Congress for funding. For when what's her face was like, I had to explain to my daughter why I had to wear why I was coming home with a bulletproof vest. And I just wanted to be like, girl, you made that possible. Like, tell your daughter it's your fault. That's why. When I heard her speaking to Congress to ask for more money for security, I was pissed. I'm like, how about not changing 50 years of precedent again and again and again and again? Like, boo-hoo. Yeah. Most people have a code of ethics in their job. Yep. Citizens United was the beginning of the end in many ways. It was.
Agreed. Citizens United and its progeny, which have continued ripping apart any hope for any type of campaign finance reform. Campaign finance reform as it exists now is a dead letter. And, that's up to us to fix.
Yep.
And the only way we can do it can't be a law passed by Congress. The court could throw it out as unconstitutional, like they do every other campaign finance reform bill. So it's going to have to be a change in the Constitution or change the court.
Yep. All right, guys. I hate to do this, but I've got to get up early tomorrow and try and do stuff outside before it becomes 1,000 degrees. Just as a reminder to everybody, for the next week, I will be going live in the evenings around 7:30 every night. So there'll be no day lives next week, maybe on Friday, because we actually have an evening show. So we'll see. Friday might just be nothing. We'll see what's going on with Friday. But guys, have an amazing weekend. And I will see you guys next week. Thank you for the likes, the shares, the gifts. I appreciate it on both sides. If you're not following me over in the tube, please do. Please watch the interviews I'm doing with people that are running for office. These are people that want to make the changes that we're talking about. They want to break the status quo. They want to be held accountable, but they need visibility and name recognition. And the best thing you can do is watch the videos and share them with people. So please go do that. Help them out. You guys are amazing just the way you are. And I love you all very much. Stay safe, stay healthy. Remember to sing, laugh, dance, smile. Do something that makes you happy. Bye, guys.